All right, yes indeed it is. Once again, time for the Kanika Sports Show, everybody. A special Friday MLB edition. I am your host, Kenny, and I am joined, she's sometimes known as Enchantress Neeks. It is Nika, everybody.
Hello, everybody. 2 weeks before the catchers.
Well, I was going to say, what's happening on Sunday, everybody?
Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's one thing happening, obviously. But, I mean, I believe that the Cubs are reporting to camp, everybody. It is because of the Japanese series, the Cubs will be reporting for spring training duty on this Sunday, everybody. Woo! Baseball is officially going to be underway when we come back on Monday. Can you believe it, Nika?
So who is going to the camp? Just the pitchers or the whole team?
Well, I think pitchers and catchers for the Cubs are due to report
first
on Sunday because of the fact that they have this Japanese series with the Dodgers that's happening in earlier, like the couple weeks left to go in March.
Okay, but do the rest of the team comes in too, or is just the pitchers and catchers?
I'm sure some will. I really do. Like especially the younger players, like the Jackson Merrills of the world. I know he's not a Cub, but the Pete Crow Armstrongs of the world, the guys that don't have wives yet, maybe, or steady girlfriends and have nothing better to do, and they are like, well, I might as well go play some ball. Well, I mean, they've been probably doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So
well, that's nice.
Yeah, exactly. Baseball is in the air. You can tell. I mean, there's been a lot of activity online this week in little ways, and we got a lot of things to kind of cover throughout this little show. It's even though there's no games happening or there's nothing really on the schedule. And oh, by the way, it is Super Bowl weekend. And oh, by the way, we at some point in the near future have to talk about all that's been going on in the NBA this week. Oh my goodness, you guys. Trades galore, big names, changing cities.
Changing sceneries.
The rumor mill around all of this is just some of the most fascinating stuff I've seen in the sports world in a long, long time. And I've been wanting to respond to it all week, and I'm glad we've kind of not done that yet because it just kind of changes every day with how you feel about it a little bit.
Okay, I buy that. And the trade deadline just passed, so
correct. So now the dust is officially clearing on everything, and well, if it's Golden State and the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals this year, I think these trades will be deemed a success for NBA ratings. That's for sure.
Let's go Warriors.
Let's go Warriors, I guess. I don't want the evil mean machine down south to win. They had their fun in the 80s. Let someone else have. Oh, I guess the Warriors have nothing to cry about lately. 4 championships in 11 seasons with Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
That's a pretty nice take. All right. Well, this is a baseball-centric episode, and we got lots going on, as I said, in the baseball world. And it is Super Bowl weekend. Nika, who do you like in the big game?
Let's go Eagles.
Let's go Eagles. I want the Eagles to win too, just to kind of mix it up, you know,
I'm going with the colors. I like the Eagles colors more than the Reds. I mean the red colors on the Kansas.
I can't stand all the like nauseating Taylor Swift stuff that's going to come with a Chiefs victory, and you know. However, I will say this right now: if the Chiefs win this Super Bowl, then there's only one last hope for humanity, and that is
the Bears. The Bears.
And we should mention R.I.P. to the late great Virginia McCaskey, the daughter of Papa Bear George Halas, passed away at the ripe young age of 102 yesterday. Everybody, may she rest in peace. Not the greatest last 14 years of life as a Bears fan, I'm sure, for her, but she got to see the Bears beat Green Bay one last time before she laid herself to rest. We beat the evil Green Menace. All right, well, once again, back to baseball, everybody. And Nika, we got a lot of news to cover. Can you please hit the music for me?
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
This bullet just handed to me.
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Holy cow, it's been a fast week, everybody, and the Caribbean series is wrapping up as we speak tonight.
It's the finals today.
Yes, indeed.
Tonight.
And who do we got in those finals there, Nika?
We got the Mexico, undefeated, versus Dominican Republic.
And I got to be honest, we've been sort of watching this in the background, but I think the lack of, like, any big-name Major League players in this particular tournament is not keeping my interest as much.
Okay.
And
for the love of the game.
yeah, and last night, of course, we had Lakers Warriors, which we just talked about, and that kind of held my attention a little bit. But I think as spring training gets going, all the things will start to matter again for the season we really care about, and it won't be any trouble getting back into baseball. But I do want to check out this championship tonight. I feel like it's a good way to get familiar with some of the names you don't know as well, but might know soon, so when you have limited time in life, you got to pick and choose. And so without having been able to commit to the whole week-long Caribbean series, I am looking forward to watching this finale tonight.
And it's being streamed on ESPN Plus and MLB Network as well.
Correct. Thank you, Nika. All right. Well, good luck to both teams, and looking forward to watching.
May the best team win.
Also saw teams are making their spring training roster invite list, everybody. So we paid particular attention to the Padres over here. So I did happen to see that, to no surprise to anybody, Ethan Salas and Leodalis DeVries are going to be in spring training camp this year for the Padres, and that's awesome. So looking forward to seeing them hit the desert, everybody, along with everybody else in the next coming weeks. It's going to start happening, as we said, on Sunday with the Cubbies. I think I've seen the Dodgers already at camp, too, and I'm not surprised because they're playing the Cubs in Japan to start the season.
But
so
why do they start their training earlier than the Cubs?
I think it was just optional, but I think a lot of the players have shown up, and why not? It's a great time to be a Dodger, everybody.
So let's see. If the Cubs lose the series, you can blame it on the fact that they didn't have an extra week to prepare.
Yeah, or their own beds to sleep in, Ohtani. I don't know if he lives in Tokyo. I'm just kidding. All right. Well, we did have some big news this week to kick it off on Monday, and that was we had an umpire get fired, everybody.
You're fired. You're fired.
You're fired!
It was Pat Hoberg, of all people, the most accurate umpire in all of Major League Baseball. As John Boy put it, he was a really good umpire.
Maybe that's why he got fired.
Well, let the conspiracy tinfoil hat theories begin, everybody. No, I think he got fired because he made a dumb decision and owned up to it, basically. He's not contesting this. The umpires union is not contesting it, and it's just a bad set of circumstances, I think. Hopefully there's nothing more to this, but basically Pat Hoberg shared a sports betting account with one of his friends, and without his knowledge, that friend made a wager on a baseball game through that account. And I don't know how anyone found this out, but somebody found this out. So that's the story.
So he shared an account with somebody? He wasn't giving information to anybody? He just shared an account?
They both had access to this account, and unfortunately, because a bet was made on a Major League Baseball game with his name on the account, it violated the whole agreement under which they operate, unfortunately. I think it was possibly an honest mistake where the friend went in and made this bet without thinking, or maybe thought he was on a different account.
Why was his name on it if the other guy bet?
I don't understand how you can have a shared gambling account with a friend. That's another thing that's kind of like, what? Like, you guys are allowed to pool your money together and just have I had a fart today. I think I'll place this bet.
Maybe they are partners. We just don't know.
I think one of the things that really made him look guilty is the fact that some text messages have gone deleted in all of this on his part. And so when you're getting rid of the evidence and kind of caught red-handed getting rid of the evidence,
Yeah, ain't looking too good.
All right. Well, speaking of criminal investigations, everybody, our good friend Ippei Mizuhara, it was back in the news this week. Of course, if you listened to our show last year at all, you will know that Ippei Mizuhara was the one who was taking and using Shohei Ohtani's bank account money to make his own personal bets.
So he took a fall full time. No.
Nika is going to go there. I'm not. I'm going to hold steady and just let it be.
No, Shohei was cleared from any wrongdoing, so let's just go with that.
That's what they say. Ken Rosenthal even went out of his way. The bow tie, our guy, the bow
He
tie.
went out of his way.
He had to go out of his way to respond to, I think, some of the commentary that was coming out after the Mizuhara sentencing. He got 57 months, by the way, so he got almost 5 years in jail for stealing money and placing basically illegal bets in the state of California. Am I right?
Yeah, he's going to go to a country club, sit there for a couple months and leave.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens and keep an eye on all the Mizuhara followings throughout all of this. And, of course, it's interesting. Will he vanish when he gets out of prison? Will he go back home?
No, he will become a bookie.
Probably inside first.
Exactly. He's got the
man.
inside scoop inside.
We're going to special plug right now for the show Bookie on Max. It is a true winner when it comes to 2025 comedy. If you've been looking for something fresh and edgy in the
I'm pretty short.
modern day, I'll just leave it at that, and short, about 18 minutes an episode, check out the Bookie.
2 seasons.
2 seasons. You can get caught up real quick in
Couple
one
days.
weekend almost. And boy, is this shit funny.
It is.
It is really, they you know, we're not going to do a review or anything, but they do a really great job of weaving in some of the modern day commentary into the comedy. And it's good to laugh again about some of the more things that are always portrayed as more dramatic elements in society. All right. Well, speaking of the Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani, they were also in the news this week because of, Rob Manfred, everybody, took to the microphones. The season's about to get started. People are meeting. Things are happening. Manfred had a little sit down with some of the media, I guess, or somebody from the media. And he was asked if the Dodgers are ruining baseball with everything they've got going on. Nika, will you remind our viewers before I read this of the numbers? The Dodgers have a payroll of what so far this year on the books? 300 and something million?
Oh, over
without the
300.
luxury tax.
Oh, without the luxury.
Pre-tax. What is
Pre-tax.
what is that account running
They
at?
are, according to the website, they are almost at 300,000 for active 26-man roster as of today.
300 million, you mean?
I'm sorry, yes, 297,351,655.
That's interesting. So I wonder where people are getting the $374 million number.
That's just for active 26-man roster, according to the payroll tracker.
Is
It's
this on
300.
Sport Track or is this on Fangraphs?
No, this is not on Fango. This is the spot track.
I have Sport Track open, and actually I show that the Mets have a higher payroll this year now than the Dodgers pre-tax. However, when you factor in the luxury tax, I'm not sure why. Oh, that's payroll. When you factor in the tax, the Dodgers are paying $378 million on this year's team. And
It can go up to 389 even.
it says tax payroll opening day estimated $380 million.
And it can go even higher.
Wow. So are they going to get taxed on top of 380 million or 297? And this 380 represents the luxury tax added back in.
I think so. I think that's how it's worded because they only going to be paying approximately 112 million as a total of the luxury tax.
Interesting. Well, it's hard to make sense of it all sometimes with the way that they certain teams get taxed higher than other teams because of what the average annual salary is.
Exactly. And the Dodgers defer so much money
Yeah.
where the Mets and Juan Soto didn't do that.
So is Ohtani's $680 million getting divided over 10 years or 20 years when it comes to the AAV? That's because he's not even getting paid for 10 years, 9 years from now.
I don't know.
I don't know either, and it's not our job to know or get into all of it, but it is fascinating. When it comes to the Dodgers and really everything that they got going on, you cannot talk about it without talking about Ohtani's contract, because it is fueling everything here. You have the best player in baseball getting paid $2 million a year for 10 years. Now, we all know that the repo man's going to come collecting one day, right? But they have spent that money. They're not taking that $68 million deferment and putting it into some mutual account that's vesting and earning interest year after year so they can pay Ohtani back later. They're not doing that. They're spending that money, that $68 million every year. They're spending it on Blake Snell. They're spending it on Tanner Scott. They're spending it on Teoscar Hernandez. And
so with all this, what you're talking about, the annual average value for the Dodgers this year is going to be around $408,964,000.
yeah.
Okay. So they are over 400 million. With that as a total.
Do you know who the highest paid player on the Dodgers this year is?
Well, it's not Shohei.
No.
Blake Snell, probably.
It is Blake Snell.
Yeah.
Blake Snell and Shohei Ohtani has a payroll salary of $70 million, a payroll salary adjusted of $2 million.
Yeah.
It almost looks unbelievable. You're like, they had to forget a digit there, right? According to Rob Manfred, when asked if the Dodgers are ruining baseball, and thank you again, by the way, Nika, for that nice, long-winded explanation. I know it's confusing to people, but there's the bottom line is the Dodgers have a big-ass payroll, and a lot of what they're being able to do comes from this deferment that Ohtani did. And I guess you got to give him a tip of the cap to at least probably explaining and selling Ohtani on this plan ahead of time last year when he signed the contract with them, basically saying like, hey, thanks for deferring all this money. We're going to spend it on the team. And I guess it remains to be seen. Will they keep doing that over the 10-year process, or next year, for example, will they not spend all that money? We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out over the long term and how many rings and championships they wind up winning. They're 1 for 1. You can't really do anything better than what they've done so far with this great baseball experiment that we talk about here on the Kanika Sports Show. But, okay, here's what Rob Manfred had to say, everybody. No, I don't agree with that. The Dodgers are a really well-run, successful organization. Everything that they do and have done is consistent with our rules. They're trying to give their fans the best possible product. I recognize, however, and my email certainly reflects it, there are fans in other markets who are concerned about their team's ability to compete, and we always have to be concerned when our fans are concerned about something. But pinning it on the Dodgers, I'm not in that camp. I think this is Rob Manfred's sort of backhanded way of basically telling the other owners to get creative and spend money and invest in your product. Is he wrong? Is the truth somewhere in the middle? What do you think, Nika?
I think the truth is somewhere in the middle, because even the Yankees are questioning this whole thing, and they are the biggest spender.
Yeah, it's funny when you have the Yankees crying poor. What does that tell you? You've definitely entered the twilight zone, everybody.
But he kind of said that they're going to address this issue on the next collective bargaining.
Well, I guess it remains to be seen, but there's been more and more talk that some of the owners are more open to a salary cap. And as a fan, I hear both sides of the argument, and I definitely don't want to have a situation where a lot of the revenue for individual teams is winding up in the pockets of one or two individual owners of a team. And the wealth that's actually earned on the field by the players is not being distributed to them evenly or in a fair way that's proportionate to, how the book should work. there's no rules on this. It's hard to talk, like what's standard protocol because every team is sort of different.
True, but they could go potentially in directions of NBA or NFL.
Well, and the other, I think, argument is that out of all those three leagues, we've had the least amount of parity over the past 25 years, if you want to say this century. Since the Yankees had their dynasty in the late 90s and the year 2000, they won 3 championships in a row, 98, 99, and 2000. We haven't had a repeat champion in baseball. And that's what people always point to. Whereas like the other sports that do have salary caps, and the argument is that like you get locked with the stars or some of the best teams. And some people like to see dynasties like the Patriots and the Chiefs, doing what they're doing within the restriction of a salary cap because it means the coaching is better or the team philosophy and the teamwork is better, And we saw it last year with the Padres. No one had the Padres. I don't mean to change from football to baseball, but no one had the Padres going to the playoffs last year when the season started. And spoiler alert, everybody, no one has the Padres going to the playoffs this year when the season starts. And yet, I think you and I both believe that if the Padres play the Mike Shildt brand of baseball throughout the course of this season on a regular basis, that they very well might find themselves right back in the playoffs next year and looking like a dangerous team. We'll wait and see. I don't think it's absolutely impossible or anything crazy like that because I believe in the Padres coaching more than anything, especially when you've watched what you've watched with them over the past 5 years with different coaches at the helm. I would feel a lot more comfortable with Mike Shildt driving the ship right now than any of them.
Well, he did prove himself last year, so...
He did, and they did invest in their coach. You can say what you want about the Padres, but they did invest in Mike Shildt and give him an extension in this team. And so I think they're most certainly happy with what he's been able to get out of the roster. We'll wait and see. It's my hope that Mike Shildt can bring organizational continuity to the Padres over a consistent period of time and have them become known as an organization that plays baseball a certain kind of way. Take what the game gives you. Classic Shildt. Okay. So, what do you think, though? You want to put a bow on this Manfred conversation here? Is this all going to lead to a strike down the line when we have the collective bargaining agreement expire? Are some owners going to push for a salary cap and cause a rift, even on just one side, without the players getting involved? Because the players don't want a salary cap.
They don't. They do not.
And who would want a cap put on how much money you can earn? Because that's what it's doing.
Sure. If you restructure this whole conversation that you do get increases in your salary the way the NBA does.
Yeah, of course. And Lamar Jackson just has a 5-year, $250 million contract with the Ravens. I don't think he's not earning money.
Right.
He's earning on average $50 million a year. That's
But this situation with the deferment that the MLB has and the fact that other players not always wanted to do this might push the players to have the salary cap because what Dodgers are doing.
Yeah, I think what happens is when everything looks great and like strategic and smart on paper, it also creates a feeling of FOMO. Other people fear they're being missed out on or they're being left behind in this new world. And like we kind of see it happening in the real world where the middle class is shrinking and the same is happening in baseball. The middle class is shrinking. And is that sustainable? I don't think it's sustainable for so long because you need balance on these teams, and balance requires steady shades of transition from 0 to 100. It's not like a big black and white drop off from like high to low. It has to have some measure of gradualness to it.
Well, if baseball games feel very off-centered, it will turn off the people that watch it. The fandom is going to disappear. Yes, there will be some that will watch it because they like certain players, but you're not going to draw as much.
For sure. We'll have to wait and see where
would
this
you
all...
want to go watch the game, the Dodgers against the A's? Probably not.
No.
You're just going to see
especially in Oakland, huh? At that AAA stadium.
Sacramento this year, but yes.
Oh, Sacramento. It is a trip. We drove past that stadium, by the way, and it's really nice. It's not Major League size, though.
It's not, but it looks nice.
It definitely looks nice. And Sacramento is one of the cleaner towns we've been in California. Well, Everyone can complain about the Dodgers all they want, Nika, but that doesn't stop the earth from turning, and that didn't stop some players from signing elsewhere, including the New York Mets, who are challenging the Dodgers in payroll this year. They're neck and neck, and they did cave and land their guy. Their first baseman is back, the polar bear. Pete Alonso returning to the Big Apple.
Looking for polar bear tails.
Nika, what are your thoughts?
I was surprised, actually. I did not expect the Mets to re-sign or extend the polar bear. But they did give him only 2 years with the club option, right, for next year?
I think so, yeah. I think he can opt out next year if he feels like it, which is almost a guarantee if you're a Boris client, it seems like these days. Unless you're Cody Bellinger, who didn't opt out, because that's what happens. If you have a subpar season, you don't opt out.
Right. So the same situation might happen with Pete Alonso and the Mets.
100%. I remember watching the end of last season, and Pete Alonso, I think at Atlanta and at Milwaukee, hit opposite field home runs in clutch playoff situations. And I thought to myself, wow, that was impressive. And it's unfortunate that the Mets did not put up a better fight against the Dodgers. I thought they would have, but now they are going at it with Lindor, Soto, and
Pete Alonso.
Alonso. So they have all this. They have a three-headed monster of bats, I think.
I hope it doesn't backfire on them.
Well, we have to wait and see. The Soto thing is going to be the big equalizer in all of this, right? Like, does he put up the same season that he put up with the Yankees last year with Judge protecting him? You would think that having these two bats around him will help. I'm curious how the batting order is all going to shake out. And, Lindor was such an effective leadoff hitter. And yet, I feel like you want to not break up these hitters, and so is that going to mean Soto's batting second again in New York, and then, or do you want Soto batting third, and is there a different number 2 hitter that's going to hit between Lindor and Soto? I'll be kind of curious about that with the Mets.
Does he like to bat second or third?
Soto liked to bat third, according to all the rumors and hoopla we heard about when he was on the Padres and was batting second and struggling. Now, last year, when he had Judge hitting third behind him, he didn't really seem to care or talk about his displeasure with batting second in the order versus third. We didn't hear that so much last year, so I don't know how much we'll hear it this year and where they've told him the batting order is going to shake out, but we'll find out soon, everybody, and you'll hear about it here on the Kanika Sports Show. Well, we had some other minor signings this week, but Pete definitely deserved a little bit of special attention because he's one of the last major free agents to come off the books. And we have a rumor we're going to get to in a minute about one of the last remaining big-name free agents left. But before we do that, here are some of the other players that signed this week. Harrison Bader, not to be confused with Vader, but Bader, he continues to get the Juan Soto arrival treatment. As Juan Soto comes, he leaves. It happened last year with the Yankees, and now it's happening this year with the Mets. As Juan Soto comes, Harrison Bader leaves. He's now a Minnesota Twin, everybody. So I did not have that on my bingo card. We'll have to see how he looks in those navy blue and red Twinkie uniforms up in Minnesota. Adair.
So he's becoming a journeyman.
Yeah, he's gone from St. Louis to New York to the other side of New York to now Minnesota. So back to the Midwest. Definitely further north.
A little cooler.
A little cooler in the spring and then winter, fall months.
But he can grow his facial hair now.
Facial hair, well, we'll have to see if facial hair is back on the menu.
Yep.
Was it last year with the Mets or not really? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Have to check my Harrison Bader Mets cards someday. Okay, the Pirates.
Pirate scum! Come on, you sea rats!
Have signed baseball's legendary bad boy, Tommy Pham.
All right.
All right.
Fits
He's
with the
perfect.
Pirates.
Perfect. Hopefully he brings some attitude to that team, man. Like, I think between him and McCutcheons, because Andrew McCutcheons is coming back, they got two interesting veterans of I'm going to call them thug passion together.
Okay.
Like,
And then
you
they
got
have,
like a thug and you got someone that's passionate about the team that kind of came up with them. We're going to call them thug passion this year.
And they have this pitching with skins.
They do. Yeah. I mean, like, they are really looking like a band of pirates. Am I not right
You know
about
what their
that?
payroll is? 83 million.
So, and that's in comparison to the 297 million.
300. Make it
Well,
round.
okay, 300 of the Dodgers.
That's crazy.
Get your baseball, everybody. A fraction of the price.
Oh, Andrew McCutchen and Tommy Pham are close to the same age. One is 37, one is 38.
Call me crazy, but I think as we look at the financial situation between teams as disparaging, but I think other fans see the beauty in the game when you have the Detroit Tigers last year with 18 million on the field, making the playoffs, winning a series, challenging in round 2 against the Guardians at home.
And giving away their pitcher to the Dodgers because
Exactly. They just got him back, too.
they
We
just got him
talked
back.
about that on Monday. Jack Flaherty, in case you missed it, back to the Tigers. We covered that transaction already, but it became official today. So welcome back, Jack, as they say.
It's hilarious to look at it from that perspective.
It's kind of interesting, and we speculated on the last show that is he going to be welcomed back by everyone because they started playing good around the time he left.
Well, hopefully he picked up some tips from the Dodgers pitching staff.
Yeah, maybe, hopefully. The Tigers, by the way, look out.
It's the eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of our rival.
A couple more little signings to get through. The Diamondbacks have re-signed Randall Grichuk, and this might seem like a small signing on paper, but solid player for them. Another outfield depth. Someone that's definitely going to be a situational role player type guy, but a solid player who knows that team and that system. Coming back. And the Angels, everybody, have picked up Yoan Moncada, longtime White Sox player. It seems like that's where White Sox players go to die, right? The California Angels. They got Tim Anderson. They had Giolito a little bit ago, and now they have Yoan Moncada right here, everybody. So the third baseman. Are they trying to put the oldest team in baseball together over there in the south side of the Los Angeles, down towards
Maybe.
Disneyland?
Well, it sounds like a retirement center for all the major league players.
That's hilarious. The Angels are a retirement community. They probably all got different pill cups coming around from the trainer every day, like, take your meds, boys.
That'll be funny.
Oh, that's a really funny skit. If only we had some edgy comedians to make it happen. And we did have a trade this week, and it was one that I really didn't want to see. But if I did have to see it, I guess it was from a team that I could live with, and that's the Cubs. Traded the Dodgers. They bailed them out, everybody, and they traded for Ryan Brazier. If there's any team in the big leagues that needs bullpen help from last year that has a serious chance of contending, it's the Cubs. And I think their bullpen last year just psychologically at some point wound up costing them games because it was like, uh-oh, here we go again. And they really have to reverse that fortune this year. And so we saw them get Ryan Presley in the
37.
trade, and now they get Ryan Brazier in this trade with the Dodgers, who was about to be put on waivers.
I know they could have waited up.
Yeah, but
couple
we don't know if there's a pecking order at that
I
point and where the Cubs sit on that pecking order, and they didn't want to risk it.
He's 37 and a half.
And they're not asking him to carry all the weight of the bullpen. They're trying to
just
bring
the
some.
half.
They did, but we'll wait and see.
Okay.
Would you rather have him or Lance Lynn in the back of your bullpen, everybody?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Well, we talked about it on the last episode. That's been discussed. So I would much
He
rather
hasn't
see the
been
Cubs take a
signed.
chance on Ryan Brazier, who played with a championship team last year, than
Lynn hasn't been signed either yet.
he has not.
So
But I'm not going to clarify him as a big-time free agent anymore.
his role will change most likely to either a closer or a bullpen. He's not going to be a starter.
If he is, he's a fifth or sixth starter at best these days. And I think we've seen other guys be able to resurrect / extend their careers by making the move to the bullpen. And perhaps Lance Lynn's that guy.
Yeah.
Perhaps he can give you 2 or 3. Perhaps he can eat some innings when you're getting blown out some night and you need a guy to just come in and take it on the chin. He's certainly done a lot of that over the past few years, but he is now unsigned. So maybe he'll wind up an Angel as an ex-White Sox.
Well, he will fit with that club.
He would. The retirement community waits, Lance Lynn. There's a closing opportunity in Southern California, right by Disneyland, away from the fires. So just saying. All right, well, that's all the transactions I had to get us caught up here. But I did want to point out one other small little news nugget that came across this week, and it involves the St. Louis Cardinals, everybody. The St. Louis Cardinals have kind of fallen off in recent years, I would say. Is that the best way to put it, Nika?
That's to be nice.
That's being nice. Well, the St. Louis Cardinals have fallen off in recent years. A team that I feel like was almost always finding a way to get into the postseason has now missed the postseason, I think, for like 2 or 3 years in a row. So that's somewhat surprising. And
They went down the drain when they fired Mike Shildt.
yeah, I was just going to say that. It seems like their organization took a dive right around the time that they fired Mike Shildt. That was after the 2020 season. That was sort of mystifying at the time, I remember, because the Cardinals had such a really long winning streak just to even get into the playoffs that season. And it's kind of, I guess, unfortunate for him the way things ended. I'm trying to think if that was 2020 or 2021. And I think it might have been 2021, although that would be COVID season. So I don't know if I'm getting my wires crossed here or what's happening, but nevertheless, Mike Shildt is, I think, really missed. We saw it in the lead up in the playoffs last year and into the playoffs that some of the St. Louis media had even commented on how the Cardinals organization might have made a mistake by letting Mike Shildt go and firing him when they did. So anyways, this caught my attention because I grew up in the 90s, and Jim Edmonds, everybody, one of the greatest defensive center fielders of my era, he famously played for the Cardinals when they killed the Cubs so much in the 90s. I hated every second of it. But as an adult, I absolutely respect what Jim Edmonds brought to the table and to the game every day. And he had this to say about the current state of the Cardinals organization, everybody. I haven't gone really down in spring training the last couple of years. It's not fun anymore. They don't make you feel like you're wanted. Indoors, in the inner circle, it's just not the same. It's not the same organization. It's not fun to be around. They make it pretty obvious. Even the security guard's like, hey, it might not be a good time. I'm like, fine with me. I don't need to be in there. I don't. If you don't want me to tell your pitchers that they're tipping their pitches or this guy's pulling off, and I don't give two shits about it. Jim Edmonds on the current state of the St. Louis Cardinals. Direct quote, everybody. I see you shaking your head over there, Nika, and there's not a lot you can really say in response to this other than this is going to enrage Cardinal fans because you have a beloved Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Fame baseball player. And
I'm still stuck on the fact that they play indoors during the spring training. I thought it was outside.
Well, they have a clubhouse still. They have a facility. They have indoor batting cages in case there's inclement weather.
But they are still in Arizona, or they go to Florida.
No, some teams go to Florida still. There's the Grapefruit League and the Cactus League, but the Cardinals, I think they go to
Arizona.
I thought they go to Florida.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, we don't know for sure. We don't follow the Cardinals on a regular basis. I just know the Cardinals are a thorn in the side of many baseball fans for many years, but it speaks generally to the consistency of how good their organization has been over the course of my lifetime, at least. And to see where they are right now is really surprising. And to hear a former player call them out on it, I didn't even realize it was this bad, But Jim Edmonds, just so we're looking here, has a 60. I'm trying to see. So I guess he's not in the Hall of Fame, but he might be a Cardinals Hall of Famer. He's a 4-time All-Star, an 8-time Gold Glove winner, and a Silver Slugger Award winner. He has a 60.4 WAR, so he certainly has some Hall of Fame-esque credentials, I would say. Especially with all those Gold Gloves, man. 8 Gold Gloves. I said he was one of the best defensive players. That backs it up right there. He also won a World Series ring with the Cardinals in 2006. So he is not listed as a Hall of Famer. I'm kind of surprised. I thought he was, but I'm wrong. He's not.
You are
yet.
correct. The Cardinals do have a spring training in Florida.
Oh, well, thanks. I thought so. Along with like the Braves and the Yankees, I know for sure the Rays and the Marlins probably don't venture far from home. I'm just guessing. There are still teams that make Florida home for spring training and Arizona, and there's two different leagues.
I just thought because the Cubs come to Arizona, and I thought Cardinals,
Yeah.
the same state, will do the same, but they go to Florida.
Yeah, the White Sox used to go to Florida, now come to Arizona. So teams have switched. I don't know of any that have gone from Arizona to Florida in recent memory, but it's probably happened. Who knows? All right. Well, again, just really shocking comments to hear from Jim Edmonds. And as a non-Cardinal fan, I guess I'm not really hoping that they figure this out anytime soon. Like, I don't need the Cardinals to be great or anything like that in baseball, but still, you like to have those rivalries mean something, like Cubs-Cardinals and Royals-Cardinals even. We all play each other every year now, and I hope that classic baseball organizations don't stay in the gutter forever, even if they are your arch rival. You know, it's like wishing that the Packers are always bad, even though the Bears are bad. Like, you want the Bears, when they beat the Packers, to beat a good Packers team, not a scrubby Packers team, right? Because if you lose to a scrubby Packers team, then it almost feels worse. Anyways, maybe these are some backwards Friday thoughts for people, but, Nika, wow, long-winded. I think that's going to wrap up the news segments for today. But, hey, we had a lot to get through, and it was interesting, so I'm not really sad about it.
It's great. Projections are starting to pop up, too, on MLB nights, the sites.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of projections are we talking about?
Who's going to win the World Series?
What do we
The
got?
season hasn't started yet, but the projections who's gonna win it.
I heard somewhere that the Dodgers have a 100% chance of making the playoffs. Is that correct?
Yep.
I heard that's mathematically impossible, by the way. Someone said you cannot have a 100% chance before any games have been played.
Well, I'm telling you what the projections are saying, because the models that they use for those projections are never come true.
I wonder how those projections will change over the course of the season. I'm more curious to see how it all plays out when it comes. I think whenever you have a situation like this, it's easy to fall from grace. It's a lot easier because people's expectations are so friggin' high that you just don't know how they're going to live up to it, right? And
Yeah, you can only go so high, and there's a long way to fall.
can only go so high, and you just, at the first sign of trouble, what's going to happen? You know, what happens when they lose 3 games in a row all of a sudden is how quickly does doubt creep in on a team like this?
There's a projection that they will never lose 3 games in a row.
Well, we'll have to wait and see it, right? That's why we go out and play them, and
It's a long season.
it's a long, long season. All right. Well, we got a rumor to get to. Nika, can you cue the rumor music for me, please?
Are the rumors true?
I love rumors.
You're all vulnerable to vicious rumors.
Well, you know how this town is. People talk and they spread these cruel rumors.
Rumors? Rumors spread by whom?
And I'm just about to lose my mind. Honey, yeah.
Here we have Jon Heyman on Bleacher Report podcast, I think. A little snippet from their channel. I want to make sure I give everyone the proper credit because I kind of slip up and don't do that all the time before we play these sound bites, and I really want to make sure we give everyone the right credit. But here we have Jon Heyman from the New York Post, from MLB Network, the insider of insiders, if you will, talking on Bleacher Report about Alex Bregman and his belief of where he will go.
At this moment, as we sit here today, I don't think the Astros can be considered the favorite. At this moment, I think the Cubs have done a lot of stuff. I think they're probably the favorite in that division anyway, but they put themselves in a great spot. They've gotten Tucker, they've gotten Presley, 2 guys or teammates of Bregman. I'm sure they're in the ear of Jed Hoyer and all the Cubs people right now talking him up. Not that you'd have to because he's an outstanding all-around player, but at this moment, whether it be on a 6-year deal or a 4-year deal with opt-outs, as that report from that mystery writer, because I don't know his name offhand, but good for him, suggested with opt-outs, I feel like the Cubs have a decent shot at getting Bregman. Could be proven wrong. We shall see. It is a fluid situation.
All right, and here it is. Alex Bregman to the Cubs. This would be quite a haul from the Astros this offseason for the Cubs when you factor in Ryan Presley and Kyle Tucker, the unknown Juan Soto of Major League Baseball when you look at their numbers. But what do you think about Bregman ending up in pinstripe blues on the north side of Chicago, Nika?
I don't hate it. I don't mind that trade at all. But doesn't mean because he goes there because of the Astros? I don't think so.
Well, this is not a trade, to clarify. This would be a free agent signing. But it's funny to me as an insider. Two things stood out to me on this with John Heyman, and I think I had to call this out because it's bureaucracy 101. It's establishment talk 101. This is like sort of how they're trained in the media industry to give themselves these all-important nuggets of information without really committing to anything at all and giving themselves outs later on to say like, well, I never really said that, even though they're saying it. So the other thing I want to call them out for is the idea that like teammates from your previous team, while I don't want to say it plays no part into this at all, like if you're going to a new city and you want some familiar faces around or something like that, sure, fine, great. But are you telling me that that's going to stand between you and even $5 million? $2 million?
That could apply only to a Japanese player like Yamamoto, Sasaki, sorry, that came over from Japan because he is unfamiliar with anything that's going on in California or any other state. So it's easier for him to decide to go where his friends are.
Of course, and we don't know what his Tokyo bank account looks like with EP doing bookie in prison now and funneling that money somewhere.
We don't.
All right, I went tinfoil hat there a little bit, and I said EP instead of Ippei. Mizuhara.
Ippei, we all paid.
Ippei the bookie. Second reminder, everybody, go watch The Bookie on HBO.
You know, if he goes by Ippei, he should have an app that says Ippei.
Yeah, I pay. Ippei, I pay.
Yeah.
You pay. We all pay.
If you need a marketing team, we are here.
You won't hear this on any other sports podcasts. I promise you that, everybody, until we at least get sponsorships. But for now, don't gamble on sports. It's a losing cause. As soon as we get enough sponsorships, though, I'm sure someone will ask us to read a sports betting ad on our podcast. So until then, don't gamble.
This podcast is brought to you by Meat.
So far, meat. It's what's for dinner. It usually is in this house anyway. All right. Well, that was the rumor mill. And yeah, I don't think Bregman's really all that focused on his former Astro teammates so much as getting himself the best possible deal in a tight market. He is the last standing big name free agent that I've seen in this market, right, Nika? Like at least top tier, right?
He's going to be 31.
He's going to be 31. I think the Cubs are looking at 4 years. I think it pays him a lot bigger of a annual salary than what the Astros are offering him right now. So if the Cubs are willing to do that and less years and give him another opportunity to get paid, then he might do it. I really hope he winds up on the Cubs because I want the Cubs to be good. And I feel like adding Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman to the middle of this lineup would do wonders. I also want to point out Alex Bregman won a Gold Glove at third base last year, so he's improved his defensive metrics over the years as well.
Well, according to some projections, the Cubs have 8% chance of winning World Series as of today.
8%, everybody. 8.
Yeah. 8.
Yeah. 8.
Yep.
Squiggly hoops.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8. Okay. Well, it's better than 0. What's their chances of making the playoffs, Nika? Do you have that data in front of you?
Not.
Okay. Sorry to put you on the spot there. Anyways, I think that does it for our rumor mill here with Alex Bregman. Yes?
I think so.
Okay. Well, we'll wait and see where he signs. It'll probably be Boston now after all this because It's like the Cubs and the Tigers. The Astros apparently upped their offer to Bregman from what they were offering, but it's still not high enough according to the local CBS affiliate in Houston. I forgot their call station right now. So apologies, Houston CBS station. I'm assuming it's CBS because it was 2. And I think it's always 2 in every market.
CIA Broadcasting something?
CIA Broadcasting. I see what you did there, Nika. Real on the nose. All right.
Broadcasting station.
It must be because it's Friday and we're having fun, everybody. And before we get out of here, we got to have some Friday fun in our new Friday fun segment. Sound effects coming soon. We have 2 stories to cover on this Friday, Nika. And the first one is we have a uniform update for the 2024 season out of one of our favorite young teams to watch, the Baltimore Orioles, the Orange Birds.
Come on, Orioles. Come on, Orioles.
And boy, are they putting the orange in Orange Birds this year. Am I wrong?
The uniforms on the picture look really nice. Now, my question is it going to be the same fabric like last year with the names and numbers so little that nobody can see? Or are they going to change it?
Well,
I heard that they're going to change it.
We heard that they were going to change it and that they already voted to change it, but they couldn't change it until this year started. I know for sure that the bigger letters are back on the backs of the jerseys. I'm sure as the season gets closer to starting that we will hear more about the uniforms again, and we'll see a plethora of media articles come out about how they're changed and improved and everything's fixed again, everybody. I predict.
Okay. I buy that.
So we'll wait and see. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe they'll still be shitty and the players will still be complaining about it.
I guess we will see during the spring training because they have to have uniforms for spring training.
Yes, they do, everybody. But Baltimore, they got solid orange tops and solid orange pants.
They look like construction workers.
Yeah, you weren't alone in that analogy. Twitter kind of had fun with this one. I saw a lot of cones out there, construction cones.
Because it's the same orange.
Yeah, it is. That's their orange, unfortunately. And so when you make it solid orange like that, you really kind of create some construction vibes and it's a lot of orange. I was like, this looks like an Orange Crush, like the soda pop, and that made me think of Adley Rushman.
I wanna see you get free with me.
Exactly. Is Adley Rush gonna crush?
I think we're just gonna see lots of coned men on the field.
Well, we'll have to wait and see when these solid orange unis get busted out for the first time. But needless to say, I'm excited to see what they look like in person and on the
They
field.
don't look too bad when you add some black pieces to it, like the tall, longer sockies.
Yeah, well, we saw 2 variants posted next to each other. One with like white socks and white belt, and one with black socks and black belt. And I think you prefer the black look. So if you're listening, Baltimore, and you have the option, Nika, the fashionista, says you gotta go black on orange. Or orange with black trim, I should say, not white.
Well, if you go with the Orioles, the bird, it's more black than white.
The only thing that's white on an Oriole, maybe, is like
the middle,
the non-iris part of the eye, at least in cartoon form.
Wait, but Orioles, are you talking about the cookies? The middle is white?
Well, I'm just looking at even the Oriole cartoon mascot on their hat. It has white, the whites of their eyes. That's it. That's it. That's all the white. So why so much white? Come on.
There's a bird flu right now. All the Orioles are getting killed. Just kidding.
No. Is that foreboding to all our bird teams this year, 2024? Does that spell doom and gloom for the Blue Jays, for the Cardinals, and for the Blue Jays?
You know, when
or I'm sorry, the Orioles. I said the Blue Jays twice.
The fear mongering about this whole blue bird stuff.
Bird flu?
Bird flu.
We got the bird flu with the blue bird. Say that one 10 times fast.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
All right. Well, I don't know if it's bluebirds, orange birds, or red birds, but stay safe out there, birds. And we'll be watching all the birds on the baseball field for sure. especially in Baltimore. I want to see these solid orange unis again, everybody. Like, imagine the Cardinals having solid red, like, oh, or the Blue Jays with solid blue. Ooh.
They
and
do,
yet,
don't they already?
I don't think solid pants, too. You never see like that. I'm just going to say it outright, gaudy, in your face.
Well, Chicago Cubs have all blue unis with the Wrigley written in white.
Do they have navy pants too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's darker toned though. It's not like a royal color.
No, it's not. It's more
Like that orange really pops. That blue on the Blue Jays would really pop. The red, oh man, can you imagine? With some yellow sockies? Oh boy, we're having too much fun with this segment, everybody. Go check out these uniforms on Twitter. Just look for Orioles uniforms, and I'm sure you'll find them sooner or later because, well, there's a lot of people talking about them. The Orange Crush, as I'm dubbing them. I can't wait to see them in action, just to see it.
If the fabric of the uniform is good, you shouldn't see them sweat. So the color shouldn't change.
Could you imagine last year's unis with the solid orange? Man, I would almost be like, calling the team and be like, what are we doing, guys? We cannot wear these. If they do sweat like last year, though, it's going to be doom and gloom over there. Like, I mean, the Padres brown pinstripe road unis are the worst. And if those show sweat, imagine what these solid orange is going to do, especially on the pants area. I mean, we don't want to be embarrassing here, guys. Let's make sure we get these materials situated this year, please. Please.
East Coast humidity.
Before Lance Lynn signs, everybody, please. Oh, I'm just having a little fun there. All right. Well, there was one other Friday Fun story I wanted to mention, and it involves one of our arch rivals from the LA Dodgers, Mookie Betts.
All bets are off.
I am not in here to make a fucking bet.
Appreciated, but all bets are off.
That's right. We got Mookie Betts, and we have news about Mookie Betts from the off-beaten path of Topps baseball cards, everybody. And in case you didn't know, it has been a solid decade, 10 years exactly, since Mookie Betts has autographed cards that have been available in Topps products. I have no idea why this is or how certain players are able to just say, like, no, I'm not signing.
Maybe they got to redo it every 10 years.
I don't know, but it makes you wonder, like, it does make the earlier Mookie Betts autographs that were Topps licensed probably a lot more coveted than maybe some other players are, since he hasn't signed since. But now he's opening the gates up, so these will probably be his first Dodger cards, I would assume, with his own signature on them that are officially licensed. And so I thought that was worth mentioning. You know, one of the biggest stars in the game, certainly a top 5 player, if not higher. And you know, as much as it pains me because he's on the arch rivals, you got to give your tip of the cap to Mookie Betts. He's probably heading to the Hall of Fame. So the fact that he's signing cards again, I think, is a big deal. And we'll wait and see how long he does it. We also saw Barry Bonds is going to have autographed cards in this year's Topps product for the first time since like 2018. And I think we mentioned this and speculated that he's trying to get back in the good graces of baseball, but I still don't think he's going to make a dent on that Hall of Fame list, at least yet. You know, we'll have to wait and see if anyone cracks through from the steroid era. I know there's been some outliers like David Ortiz possibly, but nothing to the degree of what we saw from the late 90s and early 2000s. So anyways, I believe that is everything on this rundown, Nika. Am I correct?
Yes.
Wow, she's winded, folks. That means I got to get off the air. So without further ado, I am going to say farewell, and we will be back here on Monday with another fresh edition of the Kanika Sports Show, MLB edition. But stay tuned. Over the weekend, we might be posting some more additional content right here on the Kanika Sports Show. No spoilers, everybody. Stay tuned.